Okay, is LCEA Lake County Schools bargaining session, first of the year, 2024, is May 8th at 4:25 p.m. Thank you guys for providing an agenda for today. Right when that hit, I was about to send you guys something that looked almost exactly the same, so I was glad to see that. If we would like, because we do have so many new faces on both teams, join the teams, we can go around and do a brief introduction. We'll start here.
Haley Jo Rangel, Administrative Assistant to Assistant Superintendent, HR.
Assistant Superintendent, Chad Farnsworth.
Guido Zamora, HR Director.
Zachary Gardner, I'm LCEA. Teach seventh grade math.
Jonathan Tuttle, FEA.
Kathy Smith, LCA. Elizabeth Emery, LCA. Jessica Subaki, Middle High School, LCA.
Brett Frazier, Principal UNTL High School.
Carrie Seuss, Principal at East St. Elementary. Tess Clark, Lisbon High School. DM Putnam, East Penguin Elementary.
David Lopez, LCA, member and Eustis High School.
Amy Ross, Beverly Shores Elementary, and LPA. Julie Llewellyn, East Ridge High School.
Danny Sedor, East Ridge Middle School.
Folks in the back, you're here, so you might as well say hello, so we know who's here.
Janice Gardner, third grade teacher, Seminole Springs.
Samara Russell, third grade teacher, Beverly Shores Elementary School, LCEA.
Val Smith, FEA.
Logan Sabell, first grade, Shores Elementary, LCA. Liz Schwager, Nassau High School, LCA.
Well, thank you, everybody, for being here as we kick off our first kind of introductory session for this year's collective bargaining. If you guys would, I know you guys provided the agenda. It's pretty much our standard places we go at the beginning, norms and expectations. Basically, we're a pretty open and laid back group. You guys have structures probably within your own team as far as what your norms are. But it's very important usually that, everybody has an opportunity to converse when necessary. I'm hoping that we can, from our perspective, that we can have a good session this year and regardless of some of the challenges that we face out of the schools and in classrooms, but also budget wise and dealing with the legislature and things of that nature, that we can move along pretty well and come up with some good compensation for our folks, and at the same time, make any necessary changes or additions in language that we can come to agreement on. So I'll hand it over to you guys if you want to.
Sure. Well, we had compensation on there first, but you have anything, other than what we kind of looked at, but you don't have any, like a proposal?
We do not have a proposal
Okay.
today.
Okay.
That would we would probably be more prepared at a following meeting
Okay.
to come with an initial proposal from the district for compensation. Just for everybody else's knowledge, we had a pre-subcommittee for compensation that basically just allows for some budget general overview, and making sure that we have the same numbers and anything that you guys need from the district, we're able to provide and back up as you guys formulate your own proposals or prepare for counter proposals. So that's what went on before that. So we'll go ahead and move on to contract limits.
Yes, that's fine. And the next item was the contract language where we did want to bring this. Of course, compensation is always the first thing that everybody has on their mind when you do any kind of surveys, which we did survey. We surveyed our members, but we also surveyed everybody. And we had right at a third, it ended up being in the survey that actually answered. And it gave us ideas, and again, money, of course, comes up number one. The second thing that comes up is plan time. So hence why this is here, and I kind of figured, you probably figured we would have some of this stuff because we did not do anything last year with a lot of this. There's a lot of changes in here. There was kind of, if you looked at the wording before, and it's been, I'd have to look back for sure, but this has been the same in the contract, I think, for what, 5 years, maybe? Something like that, because I know we worked on it, before my presidency, I know. So I want to say it was 5 years, and it was kind of, it said one thing that you would, that the district would protect the individual plan, but then further down, it went on to say that, well, no, you only get 4 out of the 5. I don't know whether you want me to actually read all this into the information, because there's a lot of strikeout, a lot of changes. Which I can read if you would
No.
like.
You don't have
Um,
to read it to us. I think everybody's got a copy.
But I will say the gist of it is the fact of protecting the daily plan time of our teachers. Is the overall idea around this. And that's the gist of it. So if there is something else that, administrators, anybody needs to do, that's what the Wednesday afternoon would be used for, in the fact of a, you know, a PD, PLCs, collaborative plans, anything that administrator needs to do. And then it also, on the back, it also then talks about the sub coverage, in the fact that if a teacher has to take their plan time, we feel like they need to be compensated for that plan time, because the substitute's not there, so you're also saving time and money with not having a substitute. We know there's always issues with substitutes, but I guess we need to be keeping hiring more, because we are still hearing many teachers that are having to cover classes or split students within the class, especially at the elementary level. They do a lot of those split classes, which we didn't add any language in there for this, but. So that's kind of the background on that, because that was the first thing everybody
Okay,
felt like they.
okay. Obviously not,
Obviously,
not a whole lot of response today, right? So,
Yeah,
there's.
and we figured that,
Be something that'll probably
Right.
take some time.
probably.
Okay. I don't have, we'll be preparing any language proposals for, looks like next Wednesday is probably gonna be a go.
Okay,
So,
all right. And that's why we put that all in,
Yeah.
because we knew that there would be a lot of these MOUs,
Yeah.
or actually put something in the contract, because we know that summer school is always there, but I know sometimes I guess it hasn't been, so I know that's why we usually just kept it as an MOU.
yeah,
But,
especially with things we've been able to add in with ESSER dollars, things we've been able to sustain, you know, I can see yearing out, especially for the next couple of years, summer school is having some changes. So as we step through the MOUs, I was prepared to give feedback on all the MOUs that we have in front of.
and I know the new school, of course, was next on there. I didn't
Yeah.
know whether,
So,
you know, conversation or,
so that's why, you know, they had a brief presentation, and you know, you were in attendance on the workshop for Lincoln Park project and the education center there. So it's definitely been something we've been kind of building as we go, and you guys haven't, as you saw, the level of presentation the other day, there's still a lot to be determined based on student enrollment in that center. And we will need to lay out what exactly that looks like. As you heard in the, they're not looking at running the second shift based on the enrollment, which would really have more of a heavy impact on the hours that teachers were working and how they'd be compensated for those hours and different things. But even with, they're looking at working an unconventional schedule with the early shift too. So they're supposed to be providing me with those details. It will still be the same amount of hours. And they're gonna get the student contact time. in there, but it's gonna take definitely an MOU. Might not be super complex initially. I think I could see it, making sure that people understand what they're getting into if they choose to go work at Lincoln Park at the beginning of their school year. But then definitely as it evolves and turns into a 2-shift program where people will be working some early evening hours and different things, days of the week. We'll have to work together, I think, to figure out what's gonna be feasible for those teachers. But initially, I think some people are gonna like a little bit of flexibility to go work there, but right now we're only looking at basically 4 core allocations that are in there.
Right.
So,
Right. Okay, and are you looking at just doing this and or any other, the MOU thing more like as a subcommittee like we've done before, or bringing it to the whole table?
I think what I would like to do for that is have you guys, when I say you guys, you and Elizabeth and whoever else who you'd like to select, come and just have more an informational meeting, to see. So that way, and then that can be a subcommittee right out of the gate. So if you want to establish who you'd like to sit on a subcommittee, and because I want you guys to have some time to digest exactly what they're looking at, and I also welcome your ideas to helping the people that are formulating how that's going to work, to make sure that it's something that we can staff the school with.
Right. Because I know she said something in the meeting about like more of a Monday, Thursday, but then like Friday being more like, and I'm assuming kind of like what Lake Tech does, and the fact that kids can still come and make up stuff, but yet it's also like planning, give or take. I
Yeah.
mean,
I think that's some of the intent that they have, but, I would need for, Dr. Byfield and the principal to be able to convey that a little better. So. But we definitely want those clear understandings and have it documented what the expectations are, so teachers know what they're working with. So what we'll do, I'll get with Dr. Byfield and make sure that we work into you guys' schedule here in the next couple of weeks to sit down and really get more thoroughly in tune. I think part of what the intent of Monday's workshop, the board they knew what was going on. They had seen some bones of what the ideas were, but that was their opportunity to kind of ask some questions and push on some points and make sure that there weren't some considerations that they needed put on the table too. So I think now we're at a point where we can work together, figure it out. Would you like me to step through the MOUs and just kind of tell you where, from our standpoint, where we're
because
at?
I know the
Yeah.
summer school, the email went out already. I don't know how much details I guess they had, but I know there'd been some email
Okay,
that went.
so summer school is, the typical MOU that outlines each one of the programs, at the elementary schools and then ESY and Lake Hills. So the academic side of the house, has got that. They've run it through the different departments, and we'll be prepared to present that MOU to you, next Wednesday when we bargain. And I don't think anything is, I think there's some money that needs to be spent on the funding that's there, that, might not be as robust summer school next year. So I think they're looking at offering a few more hours, which will be beneficial to the teacher being able to earn the additional wages. So I think they were trying to work out exactly what that's going to look like from a schedule standpoint. And I know they've been hammering that out over the last few days. So I'll be prepared to bring that forward. But you can probably expect it's going to look pretty typical. Night school, it's something that we'll have to figure out how it's going. I know the original intent was, I know every high school is still going to have night school. And a lot of that was dependent on grant funding. So at some point, we'll come back with an MOU for that. But we need to make sure that we're still able to fund it adequately. If you recall, it was at $50 an hour rate, which was pretty high rate. So they're working on, okay, how does that work? Because of the grant that they had applied for, I don't think came in quite as lucrative as what they were expecting.
Okay.
So, we're hopeful, but, we're not there yet to be able to have an agreement put together yet. So, transfer and donation of sick leave. I think, we're pulling data on that. So we did subcommittee on that. That is something that I would ask that we subcommittee again with whichever players you guys have still involved. And that will be a joint subcommittee. That's kind of why I would like to subcommittee that again, because that donation of leave involves every employee group. I can tell you the initial, I don't feel like we were flooded. And I feel like we were able to assist some people that were in true hardship. It doesn't appear on the surface anyone tried to abuse the program. But like we said, when we committed last year in the subcommittee, we'd come back together, look at data, look at where it needs to be tweaked and make proper adjustments. And we can make a decision at that point, whether we want to roll it into the leave article or whether we need to go another year and with the adjustments that we make to see if that's something we need to do. Because if at some point, if it's, if we land on, okay, this is the solid program that we want to move forward, I'm gonna have a responsibility, need to put in board policy also. SI and additional support, that's something we're probably gonna need to wait on. We don't have any SI schools at the moment, which is a good thing. But quite honestly, we're keeping an eye on, what that looks like whenever we get, data back and school grade back also. But it's not just called SI, it's also additional support, right? So, we'll be keeping that in mind, and that additional support, if you remember, we had expanded it, even though some of the schools were not in SI and some of them were, and some of them were on the fringe, hadn't been out X number of years. We were still able to do some, retention help, with the $1,000 first semester, $1,000 second semester. Quite frankly, probably most of that, was not out of, as you know, UNICEF or a TESA fund or grant. Most of that probably, I would guess, came out of ESSER, or general, or a combination of both. And that was supporting a few schools. So I think we need to wait and see which schools are struggling the most and which schools, might fall possibly into an SI status. So that will probably come forth later in our bargaining sessions. Additional class periods and students. It's pretty typical that, most of that was at the secondary levels. People taking the planning, and teaching them planning and different things like that. We did not have, the elementary portion that we added back. That at first we didn't add it back because, we didn't feel like it was gonna come into play, but then I think we wound up adding it back just in case. And I don't even think we acted on that one all year long with the elementary status, but we'll double check in case there were some anomalies that were hanging out there.
Or we can always, lower it, whatever, because I think some of it, a lot of it fell because of the average now instead of the individual. So therefore, it didn't give them enough, but when you have possibly already 20, 22 kids, and then you add in, 3 or 4, then, it's hard to do, small group or individual or things like that, but.
Well, I guess those are definitely general fund dollars, so. You just keep in mind, anything we chip away with things like that is coming out of performance pay. Things, so. We're still operating within the class size law by operating off the average. Peer teacher mentoring, I'm not sure, I'm gonna be interested to hear you guys' feedback on some of the peer teacher mentoring. and I think that's definitely, you know, an MOU we're gonna have to take another look at, and it's that's almost, wasn't really a bargaining subcommittee, but it was a committee that you guys, took part in. And they need to come back and provide us some feedback that I think would be valuable to us in here. Title I and critical shortage, I think that's something we probably need to go, you know, hand back and forth a few times perhaps, because critical shortage is something that, you know, we've tinkered with it a little bit in the past, but we probably need a full evaluation of, okay, the positions that are covered under critical shortage, and make that a true critical shortage.
Right, because I know that like in statute, it lists a lot more than what we have here. And I know, I believe in the past, you alluded to the fact that the areas that are hard to fill, and that's what you would always do. But sometimes we have people that, yeah, I mean, they like what they're doing, but yet they don't get, you know, extra money. Like I know we've always talked about, you know, like some of the math courses, some of the reading courses, some of the, you know, I mean, it's not just, you know, ESE, I mean, you know. Intensive reading is hard.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Well, and I think that's why we need to take a hard look, because, and it's not necessarily in statute, but DOE releases a report every year, and there's like, these are the critical shortage positions for the year, and it's everybody. So it's like, well, yeah, we know it. I mean, don't ask them if there's a teacher shortage, right? Because, you know, they'll call it something else, but obviously it's gonna differ from district to district, but I agree with you. I mean, ESE is always it's gonna continue to be, but, it is taken over where, you know, math and science used to be kind of kind of those areas, especially, you know, from how I've grown up, were very difficult, or physics and things like that. ESE is kind of taken, they're way out there on the front runner for critical shortage at the moment. But there are other, like intensive reading and stuff. So I think we need to come together and come to agreement on what that list looks like. So those are kind of the updates on MOUs. I know I've talked a lot and went through that list pretty quick. Do y'all have any specific questions on any of those items? I know
I
that,
guess nothing really is standing out right now to me, except things possibly with Lincoln Park and the fact of, because I know that it's gonna have the high school and Lake Tech and Lake Sumter. So I guess the first question would be, I'm assuming that the high school and Lake Tech would still fall under us. Sumter would not. So the portion that would be the Sumter teachers,
I think
I'm assuming would not be ours.
No,
Because I'm
that-
assuming it would be like in a separate area or
We've
something.
got
I've not
basically-
been down there. I haven't been, you know, to see any of it. So
we might have to take a field trip together.
we may, because I need to understand some of how this is gonna work, I think, before I can.
I think it is too early to really determine what Lake Tech exactly their role is gonna be. As far as I know, you guys, because they are considered a conversion charter still under us.
Mhm.
I know they fall under you guys. That'll be something that probably I would say would come later down the road. And Lake Sumter's definitely, they're operating as 3 separate entities on one campus, and the hope is we're bleeding kids into those programs directly out of us. But I don't think we'll have a whole lot of involvement with the other two to initially get started. I think it's basically the success of us getting started in there and really getting kids started and really graduating from out of there. It's hopefully going to feed into those programs. And I know there's a lot, and we talked a lot about subcommittees and different meetings, so we can work hard to coordinate and get dates on the calendar. Haley and I can give you guys big contact.
Yeah, because I think we're gonna have
Sit
to,
down.
I mean, I know we have next week, but that's the only one we have on the calendar, and, calendars are getting
Oh, yeah.
booked up. It's that time of year.
Well, and I know, and I want to be sensitive to the fact that I know you guys have some additional probably responsibilities and things that have been, you know, thrust upon you guys. So I don't know exactly what that looks like for you, but, if we could set some more dates today, if you guys want to look and see. I do have to leave a little room for, being able to bargain with my other unit too, but we can figure that out. And I wanted to ask, can you guys kind of give us an update and I don't mean to pry, I don't know what, but as far as certification and recertification and doing all those things and making sure that we're providing proper support from our end to make sure that.
Yeah, we, two things, Val and I can kind of fill you in, because she's
Okay.
helping with that end also a lot. We are in the process of that right now, which is why we asked for the records, the information. I do know that I was in the process, and then we realized it was 3 o'clock. Oh, we gotta come over here. So I was in the process of actually emailing Haley and copying you guys, because it's under FEA's, belief that we are supposed to be on the list for bargaining, just because we are members and we are still on leave, so we would have to be on the list. Now, we'll send just an email and we can add it ourselves, and we can add that information, but just so it's documented that we are adding us, which would then give us this number for the bargaining unit type
Gotcha.
idea. We did, I guess, long story short, we did not reach the 60% threshold. So we did the interest cards. So we have plenty of interest cards. And they would be probably driven up to Tallahassee to make sure that they hit them. First part of June.
Okay.
By the end of May, we have to turn in the paperwork for PERC. And file everything. We're in the process now of trying to get with the accountants and get the information to do the numbers and clarify the numbers between our numbers and your numbers and to verify everything. And that's all we have to do for now until we actually turn everything in. Now, I will say that PERC is way behind on the
Yes, they
elections.
are.
On the elections, there have been many locals that have turned in information to the tune of probably, well, by now it's probably 70, 75 that have turned things in, and they've had 2 elections.
Yeah, a little behind.
So they're a little behind. So we are trying to explain to people that it could be over the summer, but more than likely the election will be in the fall. Which of course, as you know, both bargaining units would have to, everything would have to be sent out. And it's mailed, so it costs us and it costs you guys to actually do that, to still stay as the bargaining unit. But as I said, we had plenty of cards. So even if we're over what we need, so even if there's a few of them that they decide, oh, no, this one doesn't look good, and we throw it out. We have plenty, and so we're hoping that we have plenty then of the people that would say, yes, we would want LCA to continue as the bargaining unit. Is what we're hoping and we're planning right now, basically, to do that. Did I miss something, Valerie?
No, but I think what we will do is, kind of monitor as we have to submit things to PERC. We, of course, will copy the district on everything. And so if there's a change in the designated point of contact at any point, just make sure you let us know.
Okay.
And, Same thing when, FERC reaches out to the district and asks the district to submit rosters and things like that, those would have to be submitted to us at the same time for review.
Okay.
So we can make sure we're staying on the same page.
Okay, that's the reason I asked today,
Yep.
because, I mean, I get it, you know, and we don't want to be a roadblock for you guys, and we know, I had a feeling it would roll into fall, but I wasn't real sure, and then at the same time, if you guys are working hard to get a ratification at the same time, I just want to make sure we're coordinating with y'all and being as helpful as possible. You got a lot going on, so. And I know there are some districts, just like we talked about the roundtables, I listen and hear that, they got swords out over this, right? And we don't want to be part of that group. We never have been, and we don't plan on being, so. As long as we're staying in constant communication, I was just getting worried, because I hadn't heard anything from her, and, you know.
No, it's the end of May. We have to have it turned
Okay.
in, right before Memorial.
So moving forward, when you request a roster, I'm gonna add you and Elizabeth to that list.
Okay,
Is that what you
What-
request? That's,
yeah, well, we need it for PERC, yes,
that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
Okay.
for the PERC information, otherwise.
When it's perk, just let me know the request, so that way I'll know to make sure that I
That's fine.
include that.
Thank you for the update on that.
Was there anything else, Valerie? No, that you can think
I
of?
think you're good.
Okay.
Okay, well, do you want to look at some possible dates? I know we're coming back 15th. It'll probably be a little more in depth than it was today, with some proposals exchanging hands. Past the 15th, what do you guys, the 22nd, I know Wednesdays, we kind of aim for a lot of the time. But I'm glad we've got some of our high school folks in here too, because things start getting, you know, I know it's crazy for all the schools, but you know, I know y'all got a lot going on too. So all the principals really. So you guys want to throw some dates out there?
The June. June. Yeah, the 22nd is actually the retirement dinner thing. I
Yeah.
don't know I don't know whether you would want to do anything. on that day. And we have a meeting.
Yeah, the 22nd, I definitely cannot.
And then the next week is our community school, which
Okay.
you're not involved in,
Yeah.
but some other leadership
Yeah.
is involved in, so we would be out of town that week.
June 5th,
So we would be into June.
June 5th is open. And you know how it goes. It's right coming into June, my team will be in and out, so they usually piece me together pretty good and we'll be
I'm
okay.
sure we would be too, so
Uh-huh.
it's gonna be,
Okay,
whoever is not at a workshop or out of town or, on our end. Now, these are actually bargaining days. Now, subcommittees, we might be able to
Yeah.
do
let's pepper them in between.
in between.
Okay.
Okay.
And June 5th, we want to put that down for half a day. Now we can get a big bulk of work done.
That works.
Okay.
The morning or afternoon?
I would say, we've got, afternoon will probably be better.
Okay. Like a 1:00?
Yeah, 1 to 4,
1 to 4,
yeah. We've got a transportation job fair that morning.
okay.
The following week, we've got summer leadership,
Correct.
so that
The 26th.
26, I'm out of town. So you're in trouble.
Are you out of town that whole week? The whole week?
Yes, I'm out of town the whole week.
You're not available the 19th, correct?
And it doesn't have to be Wednesdays.
How about the week of July 8th?
July 8th, yeah, that works for me.
We could do a couple days that week if necessary.
Okay. maybe aim for a Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, either that or are you available on the 20th? Like in the morning? I could check that.
The
You're talking
20th.
June?
Yeah,
I've got board member meetings
okay,
all day that day.
okay.
So we'll do July 10th and 11th?
Yeah. So let's see what we can get done there. I don't want us to go too heavy over those, because I've got a Pepper and SEIU do this also, and we're gonna be pretty in-depth this year.
And the times on the 10th and 11th would be the same time, the 1 to 4, or?
I don't, the 10th will be at y'all's place. We could do. Yeah, I think that works. I definitely, we could do a morning on the 10th and maybe an afternoon on the 11th, in case there's work that has to be done between the sessions. So let's say.
9 to noon,
That'll work, 9 to noon on the 10th, and then we can do another 1 to 4.
we could do 1 to 4. And then the 11th, then we'll be back here.
Yeah.
Next week is.
Next Wednesday is at you guys' place,
You guys. play.
Yes,
and what time work?
3:30, it's
Okay,
the Wednesday, right? So.
does that work for all
3:30?
these people?
Does that work? Okay, that work for y'all? 3:30,
I'm unavailable. Should I do this?
No, it's okay.
and some people.
Yeah, I know you guys have all kinds of obligations.
And then we usually don't get started right at 3:30 anyway, so then when people, if they come in like at 4 o'clock, you're fine. I mean, whenever you can get in there,
Housekeeping out of the way.
especially with traffic now, so that's why we were a few minutes.
That's not getting good.
Yeah, it's not getting any better. It was supposed to, I mean, Northerners aren't supposed to be here right now, right?
Okay, anything else for the other group?
I haven't seen anything through. Okay, all right.
All right, well, thank you so much. It is 5:03 on 5/8/2024. This concludes today's bargaining session with Lake County Schools and LCEA.
And if you're LCA, please say, can you use this room?
Yeah, can we use the room first?
Yep. We'll get our stuff out of here and
You'll be sure to shut the lights off.